What?
Okay. Take off my mask. Whoa.
It's serious.
You all make me blush. Welcome, Barrett, Simpson, second time, or how many times you've been here?
A lot.
A lot. So it certainly have indication that they have an interest in our program. We have John Ham, one of our graduates. He came to talk to you all about job opportunities for students who are about to graduate and also co-op opportunities. Thank you again for the food. As you can see, we have hungry students, male and female. All right, so ask questions. It's going to be informal. Again, please, if you are interested in what they're offering, please contact them as soon as possible. All right, thank you.
All right, I'm John Ham. I'm with Barrett, Simpson, engineering and surveying. Tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in North Alabama, in Jonesville, Alabama. Graduated high school in '04, and my original plan was to be a civil engineer. Went to college to get my civil engineering degree. I'm a second generation surveyor. When I was growing up, I absolutely hated surveying. Going out with my dad, driving hubs in the ground, swinging a machete, hot. North Alabama, it's got mountains, and it was real rough, and I always told myself I'll never do this. So I started out civil engineering. My plan was to get my engineering degree and get licensed and eventually go into business with my dad. And then I was working part-time with my dad, got in with a bunch of good guys he had working for him, and turns out I ended up loving surveying. Packed my stuff up, moved to Troy, and spent 2 years in Troy. Graduated in 2008 from the program. It was only Dr. Ramroop and Dr. New back then running the program. When I graduated, went to work at Barrett, Simpson in Opelika, Alabama. Little small office at the time. They wanted to start surveying up in that office. Put a licensed surveyor in that office, and I was under him, and they said, let's get a department going. And it's all history from there. We have 3 offices, one in Opelika, one in Eufaula, and one in Phoenix City. Our Eufaula group has about 8 or 9 employees in that office. They run a couple crews. They got a couple draftsmen and a licensed surveyor down there. Got a Troy grad coming that way this spring. Our Phoenix City office, there's 2 surveyors in our Phoenix City office, but mainly a bunch of engineers in the Phoenix City office. They're mainly engineering based, do a little bit of surveying out of that office. And in my office, I have 13 employees under me. 2 Troy grads, several working on their degrees, and another licensed surveyor, my dad, in my office, and a bunch of engineers upstairs in our office. But we do all types of survey. Anything from boundaries, topos, a little bit of construction staking every now and then, a lot of drone work and laser scanning work. Out of my group, we can run a bunch of different ways. Majority of all my guys have been in the field, half of them have done office work, but we're very flexible in what we do. Depending on what kind of job we're doing or where we're going or whatever the details are, we kind of pick who's going to go do that job. My two Troy graduates are real close. They're both about a year away from getting their license. They're both in the office now. Been in the office the last 4 or 5 months, learning all that end of it. They still go in the field. We're real flexible. I don't have like 3 crews dedicated out running or, one crew, whatever. Everybody can do all the different types of work. So if we're real busy in the field, there'll be a lot of people in the field. If we got a lot of office work, we can grab and pull, whoever we need to in the office to help get us caught up there. Barrett Simpson merged, the Barrett and Simpson merged in 2004. We have somewhere between 40 and 50 employees across the company. We do engineering and land surveying. All of our surveying, a lot of it supports a lot of the engineering that we do on all of our projects, but there's also a lot of other work outside of the engineering that we do. We have all pretty much the basic benefits that any other company has. We work 4 10s. So the holidays, we just pretty much get the basic holidays. We get New Year's, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Since we work 4 10s, we used to get a lot more when we were working 5 days a week. A lot of times around Christmas, depending on how Christmas and New Year's fall, we'll work some Fridays and move holidays around a little bit. And a lot of times we try to shut down the week between Christmas and New Year's just to give everybody a little bit of a breather. Standard 401k after you've been there a year. Health insurance, dental insurance. Barrett Simpson covers majority of the employee insurance, health insurance costs. All the continue, when you continuing ed or any classes you might want to take, continuing ed wise, license fees, all that, we cover all that. We don't break down vacation or sick leave. We just have PTO. And after the first 1 to so many years, you get 80 hours, and then it's however many years you've been there, it gradually increases over time. We like technology. We try to keep all the latest and greatest equipment. Our Eufaula office, we run Civil 3D drafting wise. The Carlson ServNet for any adjustments that we got to do on traverses or anything like that. And then there's a bunch of laser scanning and drone software that we have also. The Eufaula office, all of our data collectors across the whole company, we use the Carlson software and the data for all the data collection. Phoenix City or Eufaula runs TopCon, robots, total stations, levels, and they've swapped over to the Carlson GPSs in the last year or so. I run everything's equipment-wise, TopCon or Sakia in my office. Our Eufaula office handles all the laser scanning. Anything from scanning plants, they use it on apartment sites, they do all kind of different stuff with it. And my office handles anything UAV related. The typical projects we do, you could imagine it, we've probably done it. The only type of work that I've never done and we don't do is anything hydrographic. There's certain firms that do that, and you gotta be around a good bit of water sources to be able to do that kind of work also. A typical day, for us, we typically have everything planned out a couple weeks, depending on what all we got going on. And like I said, typically our crews stay the same, but we're very flexible. We move people around. We try to find the best fit, crew related, depending on what kind of project, if they're doing a boundary or construction staking or an alta, stuff like that. Outsetting property corners, all that kind of stuff. But this profession is very fun. It can give you headaches and be irritating at times, but at the end of the day, it's real rewarding, especially when you drive by a site and sit there and look at it and tell yourself, hey, I did all the work on that, from the boundary and the topo, and contractor called me up and we did all the construction staking on it. And then when it was said and done, we did all the as-built or alta survey, anything at the end that might need it to be completed. And you say, man, I did that. And it's a good feeling. We do a lot of work all across the state. We do a lot of work in Georgia, a little bit of work in Florida, and a little bit of work in southern Tennessee. We typically, out of all my guys in the last couple of years, might have had to spend the night, I could probably count on one hand. We travel, but when we travel, we load up, take a bunch of folks, knock it out, and get back to the house. Everybody's got families, and everybody wants to get home, see the kids, see their wife, see their husband at the end of the day. So out of town work, we do it when it's necessary, but I try to send a bunch of guys, knock it out, and get home. I don't really set plans for my graduates. It's probably something I should start looking at, but typically I'll take myself for example. Barrett Simpson hired me. Surveying department was brand new, and they said, learn, grow it. You're the guy, you're going to be the guy in that office. Let's see what happens. My two Troy graduates that I got right now, I started them out when they started with me, working with some of my existing crew chiefs just to learn all of the way we do things, all of the way we code stuff in the field, just to learn all the basics about us, field related, how we do things. That could take 4 months. It could take a year. And then, boom, I turned them over into crew chiefs, running jobs, doing a little bit of research, on, especially on out-of-town jobs. You know, we were down here not too long ago doing a site in Pike County. You couldn't pull subdivision plats online, so they had to go into the courthouse down here and pull plats and any deeds that I might have missed. But typically they'll stay in the field for a couple of years, you know, running traverses, construction staking, alphas, big boundaries, as-builts, you know, setting property corners and these big subdivisions that we got going on. So after a couple of years, you know, I tend to ask them all the time, you know, you happy? Anything different you want to do? You want to keep staying in the field? You want to go in the office? You know, I essentially leave it up to them. They're both in the office now. They like it at first, and then they're in there for a few months and going a little stir crazy. But one of them, for example, is working on a big project for me. He, this morning, he brought it in there and he's like, hey, I think they missed some stuff here, here, and here. And I said, look, I said, you just started it. Go make a site visit, take a look at it, grab a GPS, shoot anything they missed, bring it back, draw it up. He called me halfway down here. He's like, I'm done with everything in the field. I'm headed back to the office. And I was like, well, I'm headed to Troy. Start drawing it. But, you know, real flexible. Ultimate goal for y'all is to get licensed, of course. So, you know, I'm working with them real hard right now because they got the big part of the test. I think they're actually both, even though they can't get licensed till roughly this time next year, they're both taking their PS, I believe, this summer. Go ahead and try to get it under their belt so they don't have to worry about it anymore. And if they don't pass, then they got their time in and still waiting longer to take it. So that's, you know, the sky's the limit really in surveying right now. GIS, drones, scanners, you know, normal boundary surveying, you know, there's so many different possibilities you can go with this profession nowadays. We don't do a whole lot of GIS. We've done a little bit. We were doing a good bit for a while and it kind of died off, just because there was nobody really to take it and run with it. We support the engineering a lot, mainly subdivisions. That's real fun to see throughout the process also. We come in, do all the boundary work, topo, utilities, all that fun stuff, and engineers design it. Sometimes we stake it. Most contractors now have all the machine control and GPS and all that, so construction staking honestly is eventually going to be gone. Then when it's all said and done, you know, do the as-builts, see it all built. People come in, build houses, and you ride through it and you feel like you've done something awesome. That's pretty much the gist of the company and about myself. You know, I'm here to answer any questions that y'all may have, to help y'all out with anything. You know, anybody got any questions? Remember it said 90 y'all are graduating?
What do you got?
What?
That was me. What about internships for some of these other guys?
Co-ops. We've done many co-ops in the past for students. Every co-op I've had has lived within 30 minutes of whatever office they were going to be in. So I've never had a co-op need a place to stay or anything like that. I'm open to it. You know, co-op, depending on if it's first or second, you know, if you've already done a co-op, then you've already kind of got your feet wet a little bit. I'd tell you with some of my veteran crew guys, so you can soak in all the knowledge you could possibly soak in 2 months. I've had, I think, 5 or 6 co-ops over the last probably 10 years.
Why did you choose Barrett Simpson from a fresh graduate out of this program? Why did you choose it?
When I graduated, the economy tanked, so work was scarce, job security was very scary, didn't know what was going to happen. All the higher ups in the company, they were scrambling, you know, for about a year, keeping everybody busy. But my ultimate goal when I was in the program, and I told myself when I was going to graduate, everybody's ultimate goal is to have their own business. Get your experience, learn everything you can, and eventually have your own operation. The company, Barrett Simpson, when I started, they were about the same size they are now. I went and met with the owner and the office manager at the time, sat down with them, and they talked to me, you know, explained everything, and everything worked, and I felt like it was a good fit. I had many
interviews. Some of y'all probably have. I interviewed with 5 companies when I was getting out. And Barrett Simpson they just felt like the best fit. They felt real homey, you know, not some big, large corporation where, you know, essentially you're just a number. I felt real homey and down to earth, and, you know, made promises and they've stuck with them. That's why I picked Barrett Simpson. How many graduates have jobs?
Some, but
Alabama, out of state?
out of state.
Alabama.
Talking about job or where we're from?
Jobs.
Yeah, Alabama.
Gotcha. Florida?
How many job openings do you have?
I need help. Essentially, I could bring on 1 or 2 right now, honestly. The workload right now is insane. People call it every day. You got to tell them, look, I'm 3-4 months out before I could even hop on this. And they're like, well, of course, everybody always needed it 5 days ago. But, you know, I need some more people to come on, run crews, so we can pick up some more work. Because right now, in my county, there's only 4 surveyors, 4 companies that do surveying, and from what I can tell, everybody calls every one of them, and we're all in the same boat. We're 3-4 months out before we can help folks. So, you know, we've hired 1 graduate to help in our UFOLA office and grow it. But I'm looking to help grow mine, because my 2 that I got right now, start looking at opportunities for them to go different ways, maybe open new offices and so on.
Yes, sir.
How many projects do they work on at any given point in time? 2, 3 at the same time?
Austin's working on about 5 right now, and Williams probably working on about the same. All depends. You get done with the job, and I got 3 draftsmen in the office, my 2 Troy guys in the office, my dad, the other licensed surveyor in my office. He essentially runs the office for me. And then I got my drone guy in the office. So depending on what we got, guys will get done with the job, and I typically will give it to one of my LSITs and say, here, look at this, work up the boundary, look at everything, and then give it to a drafter to, make it look pretty, essentially. That's what they typically do. Both of them, right now, we got a lot of topos going on, so my other graduate, he's mainly working on topos that we've flown, trying to get caught up and feed them to our engineering departments, other firms that we've flown stuff for, trying to stay caught up there. There's been times where they both had more than that working on. I try not to overload people too much, because in this business you can get burnt out. I have many times, just stressed out from trying to keep everybody happy. Most days I wake up, I look at the calendar and I go, I don't know how we're gonna get all this done. Somehow we get it done. Some days I flip a coin and say, who am I gonna irritate today?
It's like doing 5
get
courses at
delayed.
university, assignments.
Get delayed on projects,
Yeah,
but
that's what some-
That's right.
it happens. But the workload right now, I mean, it's busy. It could all, in a month change. You never know in this business, especially. It's like an ocean. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. We've been up for a long time now, and we like it that way and hope it stays that way. But the ultimate goal, pull with my graduates is pull them in, let them learn everything in the field. Get all your experience that you need to get your test, and then we go from there. Right now, my track record with graduates is very well. Nobody in my office jumps up and down and yells at folks, and we're a team. We're a solid team, and we work together. If somebody's got a problem, we put our heads together and figure it out and make it happen.
Do you have to go to court? Have you ever been to court to get expert?
Never been in court.
No?
I'm still early in my career though, so knock on wood, nothing's ever happened.
Any expensive errors?
Yeah, I've had, my guys I've had many expensive errors over time, right after I was straight out of school. Running a crew, I was doing all the drafting, it was a lot of work. And we got a big construction staking project. I laid out a bunch of curb at a CVS that they were building, and I calced about 100 foot of curb. It was 4 inches too high. And I think that one was about a $15,000 mistake. Times were slow. I knew I was gonna get the axe back then. But they, it all worked itself out. Mainly if something gets messed up, it's mainly some kind of drafting error. We've got pretty pretty solid field procedures that everybody follows. And everybody that's in the field has always learned from somebody that's been in the field for a long time. So not too many field errors, just random stuff. We'll go out and do as-built on a subdivision, and they'll get an invert and they'll get a bad reading on it, and my office guys will be like, "Why, this don't make any sense?" And we got to go back and recheck it. A lot of the times if that happens, thank goodness we're going to be in the same area, and it's not that big of a deal. When we do our surveys, I tend to always tell my guys, everybody's instincts to pick up the phone, call the boss, be like, "Hey, how do I count this? How do I need to do this? Yada, yada, yada." We'll do that, and then at some point, I'm like, "Look, you went to school. I hope you learned a lot from me. I want you to make the decision in the field. That's what you're working, towards. You got to make the calls." And I'm like, "Make the call, set the pin. If I pull it in the office and I don't like it, then we got to make another trip. If you did it right, then hey, we don't have to go back to the job, saving time." Kind of rambled off of Ramroot's mistake question there, but mistakes happen. At the end of the day, you learn from them, keep on going. That's how I feel about it. We've had some big ones over the years, and it'll make you real mad, but at the end of the day, you learn from your mistakes. Makes you a better surveyor.
If they need to apply, they contact you directly?
Yeah, I got cards if anybody's interested. They can call me, my cell number's on it. You can call my cell, you can email me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you.
And those of you who want to speak with him after, you can put him in the corner and chat with him, okay?
How many, when it comes to, I know you are learning just about everything there is to about surveying, GIS, photogrammetry, all that. I can pull up some data and show you if y'all want to see something we just flew.
Yeah. 10 minutes off.
How's the internet in this building, Doc?
Depends on the day. Hit or miss.
Depends on the day.
Works usually as good about it because the AC in this room.
When the temperature says that by 8 is
Monday mornings, you drop it.
physical.
Yeah,
Everything's fine until you get locked down.
you're gonna lock down, bros, because that wood will take you through the park.
This guy's huge. It may blow the internet up.
That poor little pooter.
So here's a site we're working on, boundary, essentially supporting the engineering group. This is a standard job for us. The property's all of this over here, and essentially all of this right here. And the boundary, topo, utilities, features, you name it, for the engineers. I got crews working on the boundary right now. And then I got guys in the office that are processing this data for the topo. And this is something we flew sometime last week. And you can see you can see the power lines. This was a cell phone tower over here we had to be aware of while we were flying. This one's eat up with buildings. This one's got a good ortho on it, so, and man, y'all, it might kill the internet. But essentially pulling all the data out of this and putting it on paper. We mainly upload stuff like this online so the drafters can, it essentially gives them a feel for the site. And they can see what all's going on, how all the overhead utilities are done. There's a fence running around that cell phone tower there. I can click a button. I can get northing, easting elevation anywhere on this site that I want. This is the cool stuff, I tell everybody, we have 4 drone pilots. Any of us can do it, but one guy specifically does it. He travels everywhere and flies it. And then one of my LSITs and one of my other main guys, they process all this data to get it down to the ground to generate a good topo on it.
Got a question.
Yeah.
So, do you do everything with a boundary off of this right here, or would you actually go out with a gun and shoot the boundary?
No, they run with the gun traversing around the whole property. When it comes to this kind of stuff, there's not really anything you can do with the boundary. Stuff like this data, it's mainly for the topo, honestly.
Like natural ground shots and stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't have to, in the old times, somebody'd be out there
Doing a grid.
taking a 50-foot grid across this whole property. In my world, it's gone now. Unless we got some kind of small 1-2 acre site, we might run it hard just because by the time we throw the drone up in the air, process it and get it all done, we could have done it in the field, generated the topo in about half the time. This was I think the site's 150 acres, we flew about 200. It'll probably, it'll take my guys probably about a week and a half to get, the boundary and utilities located and stuff like that. It took my drone guys, it took him 6 hours to set the targets, get me some random ground shots so we could check and make sure the data is solid. And then, of course, fly. My guys in the office, the office work takes a lot longer. One guy's processing all the data, and then the other guy's essentially using this to get coordinates on power poles. Depending on how high you fly and overlap and all that, you can get real detailed on buildings. But the engineers just need a basic outline of any buildings that are on this. We don't have to get right down on it for this project. They'll also use it to get any striping in the pavement. It'll take it a minute to upload. Get all the striping in the pavement. There's a sign, that's something field crews miss, but engineers may need it. And when you got the data, you click on it and there's your northing and easting on it to show it in CAD.
Is that fixed 40 or you're supposed to?
This is just an online viewer. A lot of the clients that we do work for that are in the same business, they have us fly stuff. I always send them stuff like this so they can double check myself. Any more questions?
What kind of drones you have? Drones, okay.
Drones?
Yeah.
We got several quads, of course, the LiDAR one, and we got EB. The LiDAR one, of course, probably gets used the most. Topos, so there's a lot of them. And, you know, this one's easier than most because there's a lot of fields, but half the time there's trees.
So typically you all would fly all of your projects or?
If it's anything engineer related or somebody needs a topo, yeah, we fly them. Just because, you know, if I had a crew out there topoing this site, they'd be out there probably a month. And then they'd forget something and, you know, we'd be going back and.
What kind of accuracy do y'all get back with that LiDAR drone?
Half a tenth or less, 500ths or less.
Even to that, like canopy like that, y'all get good results?
Oh,
Got you
yeah.
on the ground running?
It's solid.
Turn, second turn.
Yeah.
It's solid.
Like that, Dr.
The only thing it won't get, if there was a big creek running right through here, my guys would be out running that creek hard. Because it reflects off water. And a lot of time creeks are so vegetated around the banks that, the data might look a little crazy sometimes. You know, it always depends. If there was if it was a big creek or whatever, and the engineers were putting a road right through here, say, we might just go out and profile that little section right there, so when they drop a pipe in to make that creek crossing with a new road, make sure their pipe isn't gonna be way up here or way down here, because if it is, they're coming back to me. And that's how you also end up writing people checks.
Thank you.
Ledger scanning stuff, it looks the exact same. It's a lot more dense, but it's a lot more detailed, but it looks the same. Oh, who you got class with?
Dr. Denton.
Linear algebra.
You didn't do linear algebra or something.
It's least squares.
It's
He did calculus too, don't worry.
It's the same thing, just about.
Can I get a card for taking?
Absolutely.
But thank you very much, y'all. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it.
Disregarding white boy.
Well, could you turn on the lights?
Right next door to Auburn.
Hey, what do you got, Dan?